You know, ever since I found out that the frilled shark is a real sea creature just hanging out in the ocean somewhere, I've had some beef with the ocean. However, it is the most bizarre love-hate relationship because even though I have crippling thalassophobia, I still find myself swimming in the ocean extremely deep past the sandbar. Mainly for one reason, and one reason only. I have wanted to find a super large, swirly boy seashell ever since I was a kid. Maybe it's because I used to have a rock collection or something, you know, I was that kid, okay? I don't know. So anyway, a while back, a few years after the, hermit crab incident, which if you haven't seen, I recommend you check that out first for context, because there's a little something special at the end of this video. But it was like a Tuesday afternoon. I was minding my own business, hanging out on the couch, playing Lego Star Wars, the complete saga, when my mom comes into the room and says, "Hey boards, we're having a big family reunion next week. All your aunts and uncles and cousins and everyone's families are chipping in for a giant Airbnb right on the beach in Florida." And I'm like, ha! Awesome! And half of me is thinking, I ain't going near the water because of what happened with the hermit crabs. But then the other half of me was like, yeah, but now that I know what to look for, that won't happen again. A week goes by, we fly out to Florida and get to this unbelievably nice Airbnb, which was, in fact, about a hop, skip, and a mouthful of sand away from the ocean. So all our families are there, all the cousins are just hanging out, having a good time, and I'm just like kind of really curious to know what the seashell situation is like out there. Just a peek, you know, nothing crazy, just enough to get my shins wet. Yeah, that's all I need, just a little wade into the water. Nothing more than above my knees, you know, and maybe just a quick swim out to the sandbar. After all, that's where most of the best seashells are. Gotta check the sandbar if you're at the beach, you know. Hey, boards. It's my brother Splash. We were gonna go grab some snacks and then go out to the beach. You wanna come? Yes! I mean, yeah, cool beans, bro. Sounds slick. You said the beach afterward, did you? Oh, cool. Nice bonus. You might pull up, might not. We'll see. Kind of a mysterious guy. Okay, well, we're gonna do that now, so if you want to come, then we can— I'm coming! So I pounded some baby carrots, and me and all my cousins started making our way to the ocean. The beach was so white and beautiful. The water itself so clear and blue. I had my lucky swim trunks on with the pocket in the back, and I could not wait to see what the seashells were like out there. So all my cousins started tanning at the beach. What a waste. But I made my way straight out into the water. I'm swimming around near the shore, acting like I'm just having a good time in the waves, but I'm secretly scanning the sand underwater looking for seashells. But unfortunately, there was almost nothing out there. And I was a little discouraged, because if there's not a lot of seashells and broken pieces up here, then there might not be any cool intact ones out there. but boy was I wrong! So I came back onto the shore, drank a Capri Sun, and tried to make conversation just to realize everyone was like, you know, asleep. Cool. And since laying on the beach was boring, I made my way back out for round 2. And this time, I was gonna go a little further to the sandbar. But not so far out that I'd find myself near the drop-off or anything. No sir, I've learned my lesson from last time. Yeah, definitely gonna be staying away from that. So I get back in the water, and by the looks of it, the sandbar was a little further away than usual. But there's no stopping me at this point. So I took a massive deep breath, and I hit the classic number 7 from McDonald's, propelling myself so fast off the ocean floor to achieve the fastest swimming speed humanly possible. Actually a shrimp frying that stuff. Oh, dude, no kidding. Yeah. Oh, I meant to ask you, how's Michelle doing? Oh, she's happy as a clam, man. Thanks for asking. You know, I finally asked her, will you marry me? And she said yes. Dude, no way. Are you serious? Yeah. She occupies my heart, man. My love for her goes deeper than the Mariana Trench, I swear. It's like we were mermaid for each other, dude. That is fantastic, man. I am so happy for you guys. Thank you, man. Thank you. But you know what's crazy? What's up? You remember Coraline, right? Man, didn't she have a massive crush on you? Yeah, a few tides ago. But dude, she texted me on my shell the other day because she saw me and Shelly got engaged on Fishbook. No way. Bro, her text was longer than the continental shelf. Jeez. Yeah, I ain't reading all that. Something about how I'm the wave that keeps crashing into her heart, and she's totally caught up in my current, but honestly, she's just jellyfishing me and Michelle. That's so toxic. Like an oil spill, bro. Man, she used to think you were the catch of the day for a minute there. More like catch and release. Man, I was totally hooked, but she was absolutely just baiting. Oh, no way. Oh, yeah, dude. But you know what? I learned something. It's not about the shipwreck. It's about the reef. The reef that forms afterwards. And now, look at me. I get to marry Michelle, dude. And that is deep. I'm just speaking from the carp, man. Oh, dude, check it out. It's that guy again. Oh, where? Right there. He's swimming so fast. Man, that is awesome. You think he's still swimming from last time, or has he taken a break since then? I don't know, man, but I'm kind of catching feelings for Corlin. Dude, why would you even say that? I am swimming as hard as I can to get out to this sandbar. But while I'm in the deep area, before it becomes shallow again, I see this giant blurry mass in front of me. And I'm like, it's probably just some algae. I immediately get flashbacks from the last time I was in the deep ocean with live sea creatures, and the fear settles in. I don't know how far the sandbar is. I don't know how deep I am, and I don't know what else is out there. I'd like to say I was brave and kept swimming, but I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I panicked. And before anything terrible happened, I went up and out of there. It's honestly a good thing I got back onto dry land when I did, because I realized as I sat down that the sun was setting. And I've learned to never swim when the sun sets, because if you think the ocean life is bad during the day, it is quadrupled at night. But now that the sun has set, it wasn't really good for tanning, so everyone finally decided to get up, take walks, and hang out. Now that we can't go into the water. Fantastic. Around an hour passes, and I'm game planning for tomorrow. I'm debating, do I even go back out there? What the heck was that giant mass that sped away from me so fast earlier? And how many other sea creatures are even out there? And right then, one of my cousins and her husband yelled from across the beach, "Hey guys, come here, check it out." And we all walked over to see a huge dead crab just sitting on the shore. For size reference, put your hands together like this. Now imagine that your pinkies were the crab's pinchers, and your hands were the rest of its body. The next morning, we're all hanging out again, playing Quiplash. It was a great time, and I'm actively debating whether or not I want to go back out there and look for another conch shell. When all of a sudden my cousins were like, "Hey, we should all go to the beach again. That was so fun yesterday." "That's a great idea. Yeah, come on, guys. Let's all go have a blast." I looked out into the water and it's like it was calling to me. I felt like Moana, but scarier. So I swallowed my fear and I walked out into the ocean. And I don't know what got into me, because instead of doing the sensible thing and staying by the shore, I threw caution to the wind, took another massive deep breath, and number 7'd my way to the sandbar. This time I was serious. I was swimming so fast when I saw it. 3 giant, blurry masses around 10 feet in front of me and getting closer. But I locked in and weaved through them as they scattered away. And the water was getting deeper. There were more and more creatures moving all around me as I got further and further out into the sandbar until the ground changed. This was no longer sand. This was a huge crater-filled rock. But I learned from last time not to go near that community. So I swam as fast as I could to the top and just kept going. The sandbar is right there. All I need to do is make it out there where it's more shallow, so I'll be safe, right? I mean, whatever creatures are out there like the deep. So as long as I stay where it's shallow, everything should be fine. So I finally make it out to the sandbar, but there's one problem. The sandbar isn't very shallow. I'm starting to regret everything. I made it all the way out here, hoping I could at least stand on my tippy toes out here, because that means I'm less likely to come across a sea creature. This time was supposed to be less dangerous. It was supposed to not be so deep. But here I am again, face to face with the drop-off. And I'm starting to panic a little bit. So I turn back to swim as fast as I can back to shore when I see it. A perfectly intact super colorful swirly boy seashell. And it was about the size of my hand. But I learned the hard way last time that the more perfectly preserved a seashell is, means the more likely it is to be still inhabited. So I crept closer to the shell, but not too close. And, well, it looked empty. And I was like, okay, cool. Maybe it's... Right. Okay. Yep. Back we go. And I'm almost out of breath, so I turn around and start swimming up and back to shore. But as I'm creeping up the edge of the sandbar, I spot the very top of a swirly shell about 10 feet in front of me. So naturally, after apparently never having learned any previous lessons on why I should not do this, and I should just go back to the shore, I swam straight towards it. I swim right up next to it, and normally when I get this close to some of these bigger ones, they tend to swim away from me, but this one hasn't done it yet. So that's promising. So without hesitating, I swiped the sand right next to the shell to see if it would move. Nothing. I'm getting braver and braver, so I poked it on the top. Still nothing. Okay. So I kept moving it, little by little, digging in the sand around it, seeing if it would move at all, or if any sharp talons were gonna come out of it, but they never did. I'm almost completely out of breath, but I know if I swim to the surface, I could lose this shell forever. This is my one chance, and I don't have much time. So since I'm right-handed, I use my left hand because I can afford to lose some fingers on that hand, and I grabbed this shell super fast and brought it straight to the surface. I pull it out of the water, and it is the largest swirly shell I have ever seen in my life. And it's kind of hard to tell since my eyes were full of salt water, but it seemed completely abandoned. I might have just found the greatest shell of my entire life. It was so big, I had to hold it like a football, and I started swimming. But it's kind of hard to swim on the surface with one hand, so of course I dove down to the bottom to number 7 my way back to shore. Like a really smart guy. But as I was mid-dive down to the bottom, I suddenly realized I was over the rock full of craters that I tried to avoid earlier. And if I've learned anything from the hermit crab incident, it's that a rock this deep is probably teeming with life. But my momentum is carrying me straight down, and I can't stop it. If you've ever tried to completely stop yourself and switch directions swimming underwater, you know that I felt completely helpless as I slowly continued to drift downwards, trying desperately to swim with one hand back up to the surface. I was flailing so much that I lost my grip of the giant shell. But I do not want to lose this thing, so I flail even harder, trying to go back down towards the rock to grab this shell, and just before it touches the rock, I got it. Instinctively, I put my feet down to launch myself back up to the top, but as soon as I do that, the rock starts moving. I was freaking out too much before, but now I see. Completely camouflaged in this rock is a huge colony of these giant hermit crabs. And they're all looking right at me like, "Hey Mac, what are you doing with my brother's shell, huh? We just buried him this morning. We had a funeral. I gave the best eulogy you'll ever hear in your life. You massacring my boy like that? Shameful. Get him, boys." So I used every limb I had and flailed my absolute hardest, trying desperately to get back to the surface, and seeing those crabs reminded me of what I'm holding. There could absolutely be something alive in here, but I didn't want to get rid of it because I still had hope that it was abandoned. So I held it out as far as I could away from my body, and I swam with one hand back to the surface and all the way back to shore. After what felt like forever, I finally got there. I threw the shell down onto the sand. I'm checking as close as I can to see if there's anything inside, and it was completely empty! I hope. I ran back to everyone tanning and woke up my brother to show him the shell. Everyone else eventually woke up and saw that this thing was huge. And I was so proud of myself for achieving maybe the greatest ocean side quest I've ever had. But you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, it's probably not that big. Hermit crabs that size don't even exist. Well, guess what? Put a cork in it and check it out. I still have the shell to this day. Look at this thing. It's freaking huge. So take that, hermit crabs. I also looked online and found these videos of actual live giant hermit crabs found in the same area we were staying in Florida. So do not come at me. But being surrounded by giant hermit crabs will never be as scary as the time my friend and I swam with sharks in the open ocean. Definitely check out that video if you haven't already. Also hit the link in the description for my merch. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and thank you all so much for watching.